Beautiful souls, welcome to the I Project Love stream. Yes, we're doing it again. We are still in beautiful Ecuador. Why not? It's hard to leave. Did I mention there's mangoes and coconuts and warm weather and a river and just lots of beautiful spiritual hipsters everywhere you go. People building paradise. It's wonderful. That's happening everywhere. But here, it's particularly nice, especially when you're from Canada. Anywhere but Canada is really nice. So here we are. So we have a great show again. There's no special guest, but we are going to be doing what we always do. We're going to be dropping that spiritual knowledge, sharing the secrets of the universe. It's going to be good. We're going to be diving into a book, very profound book. I mean, what can I tell you guys? It's a very profound book by this beautiful master I've discovered recently called Omram Mikhail Ivanhoff. He was born in Bulgaria, moved to France, and he was just crushing it over there. And I just gotten into his books. I quoted a little bit from one of his books a couple of weeks ago, where he was talking about the real teachings of Yeshua. And I read a little bit there about saying no and being in your power, and the importance of being able to say no to the forces of evil. Probably an important topic, as you might imagine, these days. But this book is called The Yoga of Nutrition. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And those of you that know me, woo, look at that. Look at that. Looks good on that camera. You know that it's been a big journey for me in terms of, I've had this thing with food. I think it stems from my mom was a real control freak, and she wouldn't let me like eat the things I wanted or watch the things I wanted or do anything that I wanted. I joke a lot about it in my stand-up comedy act. I got jokes for days. And it really impacted me. I joke about this one story when I was a kid, when I was in an opportunity where I could eat Oreo cookies, unlimited amounts of Oreo cookies, and I just shoved my face with so many cookies I almost felt sick, and people thought I was a freak. So I've always had weird stuff with food, and for a long, long time I had like digestive issues, and I had like a big gut, and I was like just not that conscious with the food, and I had some big shifts with that, which included fasting, dry fasting specifically, fixing up my food combining, learning that like certain foods don't go with other foods, which we'll be touching on those topics today. And also just being conscious with food, like really loving on the food and appreciating the food, and being present with the food is extremely important, and that's what this book talks about. So we're really going to have an episode kind of touching in on some of the wisdom from the book and my own experiences with food. So that's kind of what today's going to be about. And yeah, it's deep, man. It's deep. The food thing is deep because it's something that we're all doing, and we really take it for granted. And I think we don't think about it that much. Even in the spiritual communities, we do like a little prayer, but like even then, it's like most people are not really connecting with the food and really like praying with the food and loving on the food. They're just saying some words. It's kind of like fake religion. Like you go to the church and you say some words, just like you say some prayer before you eat, but it doesn't mean shit because there's no real intention behind it, right? There's no intentionality. There's no spiritual power behind it. You're just saying some shit, which doesn't mean anything. So we're going to get into kind of the importance of all of this today, and it's going to be good. So those of you tuned in, let me know where are you guys at? What city are you at? And how's your relationship with food? That's what I'd like to hear. How is your relationship with food? Is it good? Is it mediocre, or is it none? Is it unconscious? You just eat the food and you don't think about it. So I guess I'll tell the story from back when I went to do this breatharian initiation. Okay, this was like 2000 and I guess it was 2018ish, somewhere around there. might have been 17, but anyway, I went to do this initiation, and I had this gut. Like, I always had this gut, and I'd make excuses. I'd be like, whatever, I'm just big boned, I'm just a little chubby, no big deal. But it was totally like eating the wrong foods together and not fasting, basically. But I was like making up excuses why it was like wasn't my fault that I was chubby. You know what I mean? People making fun of me and shit. I'm like, shut up, and just big boned. No. So right around that time, I started learning about food combining. So this is one thing that you'll never hear anyone talk about ever, and it's such an important thing. Certain foods just do not go with other foods. There's certain acids that the stomach makes to digest different foods, right? And different foods require different acids and different processes in order to be digested, right? And I'm sure you've heard, like, if you eat meat takes a long time to process. It's in your colon for ages, and when you're farting up a storm, it's not the food you just ate. It might, if you ate meat, it might be the fucking meat you ate days ago. And so, and I just noticed if I eat, I would always be farting, like, just all the time, just farting up a storm, and like pooping, and so it was just a shit show. And I would get tired after I'd eat food. Have you noticed this? You eat a bunch of food and you want to nap for like 20, 30, 40 minutes. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to get energy from food. Okay, like when you eat food that's delicious, you're supposed to be like, yeah, let's go do some work. Let's do some stuff. You're supposed to be excited. And then if you eat food and you go and take a nap, that's not correct. Something is wrong. Okay, that means maybe you're just eating too much. Like the portion you ate is just way too big, which is a problem. And the book talks about that a lot. Okay, this book actually talks about, you're supposed to stop eating before you get to that point, so that you're a little bit hungry, and you continue to get, you're on a soul level, your etheric body still wants to get food, so it continues feeding from another source, a higher source of energy. But if you're totally full, it doesn't do that. But that's one reason you get sleepy, and the other reason is you're combining foods incorrectly. I remember even in my 20s, I haven't destroyed myself too much. I'd eat this huge bowl of pasta with a bunch of meat on it and spaghetti sauce, right? And it would just knock me out for like an hour. I'd eat this way too big of a portion. But your meat is very difficult to process. This is what I've noticed. It really takes a lot of energy. And if you mix it with, so that's a protein, right? That's a protein. If just a very basic, what's a protein? Milk, anything milky, protein. So milk, yogurt, all that kind of stuff. Cheese, eggs, meats. These are all proteins. What other protein? Fishes are protein. Pretty much all animal products are proteins. And then nuts. Nuts and seeds. Also proteins. Nuts are proteins, though. Are they? Apparently, they're in their own category, but I'm going to go with nuts are a protein. And I've noticed that for me personally, like if I mix a nut and a starch, and it is one of the rules, but it's one of the rules that fucks me up the most. It knocks me out. Like one time I went for this pho, and it had the meat and the artificial the noodles, right? These carby noodles, processed rice noodles basically, which are a starch. It knocked me the fuck out. Like for 12 hours, I couldn't. I was like, well, like a zombie. It was horrible. And so generally, you're not supposed to mix starches and meats. Fruits are another thing. Fruits don't go with anything. You're not supposed to have fruit with other stuff. You don't like fruit. You eat them on their own when your stomach is empty in the morning. They're very quick to process. 30, 40 minutes, they're out of your system. Then you can go eat your whatever the hell you want. But like mixing all this stuff to get like the shit people do is insane. People will like wake up. They'll have like, I've seen people mix every type of group together. Like they'll eat fruit and yogurt and then have like a steak and potatoes, and then just go off and like, I don't know. They literally just eat everything without thinking at all. And it's crazy. And then I'm wondering why they have all these, like all these people, how many people are taking antacids? You know what I'm saying? And it's the worst thing you can do because your body is having a reaction. It's trying to cleanse itself and you're just suppressing the reaction. So you're getting yourself even sicker. It's absolutely crazy. And food combining is a huge science. So there's this book, and it's not like a new thing, guys. Like I just want to point this out, like just how evil Like you guys don't already know how ridiculously evil the matrix is that we're living in. But this book I have in my hand here was published in 1951. It's called Food Combining Made Easy by Herbert M. Sheldon. Okay. And it's published by Dr. Sheldon's Health School, San Antonio, Texas, 1951, guys. 1951. They knew. It's not like they didn't know before then, but this book is kind of, one of the classics, if not the classic on it. And yeah, it's just, look at this guy's face. Look at that guy. This guy is trying to save souls right there. That's all I'm saying. He's trying to save souls. And you won't hear about it. You won't hear anything in school. You won't hear about it on TV. You won't hear about it anywhere. When I bring up food combining, people look at me like I'm from another planet. They look at me like, "What the fuck's the matter with you?" I'll be like, "Yeah, you may not want to like take a bunch of mashed potatoes and just shove them in your mouth with that steak you're eating." And you know what I mean? And people were like, "What are you talking about? Potatoes go with steak?" And I'm like, They don't go with steak. They don't go with steak. And so they really get into it, and it's a lot of information. I'll be honest, it's a little bit overwhelming. But just the very core of it, I want to explain very briefly for people, because I know people are busy and people will be like, "I don't have time for this shit." But if you follow those, just even like a couple of principles that I'm going to share with you today, it will change your life. Like, I'm not even kidding. The amount of people that are suffering out there today because they're just eating everything all at once. So a couple things. Eat fruit on its own. Number one, don't eat fruit with anything. There are some exceptions. Pineapple's an exception. Sweetie, we're talking about food combining. You want to come on here for a minute, or you're shy? Come over here for a minute. So, pineapple is an exception. It's because it's a digestive, right? So you can eat a bunch of other stuff, and then if you want like fruit for dessert, there she is. Look at this beautiful lady here. I'll shove over a little bit. So pineapple's cool. Was there another fruit that is an exception that you can shove in your mouth with other foods, or is it pretty much pineapple's the only safe one? She's been researching as well. She's making a little app that's all about nutrient pairing and food combining. So people can go to a list and figure out
acidic foods and such. But yeah, and then they can just go to the app and get delicious recipes that are proper food combining and nutrient pairing. But yeah, with the fruits, I don't know. It's debatable. Actually, in the last 2 days, I've actually come across more information that makes me feel like it depends on what type of fruits. So there's sub-acid fruits, there's sweet fruits. Citrus fruits, for example, are neutral. So lemons and limes, you can squeeze those on anything and not have to worry about it. But yeah, and then I've more recently started dabbling in the evil chat GTP to see what it says. And honestly, it doesn't really know that much about nutrition, is what I've realized. I'm just like, yeah, it really doesn't. It's helpful for wording sometimes, but honestly, it doesn't know shit. But yeah, so some citruses, lemons, limes, apparently pineapple, oranges, I think as well are an exception. And then yeah, I think for me, like nutrient pairing is also just as important as food combining. So, like iron and vitamin C, or vitamin D and vitamin K. Yeah, that's mostly what I have to say about food combining. Definitely, yeah, meats and starches, like you were saying.
But the thing is, it drives people insane when I bring it up, because they're like, every culture just put meats and starches, literally, like steak and potatoes. Gotta eat them. Look, how are the Japanese people? This is what I want to know. How are the Japanese people living so long? Because they're just mixing fish, which is protein, and rice, which is a starch. But I think it's because they're so healthy in other ways. Like, they don't, you know what I mean? They don't destroy themselves in other ways, and the culture is relatively healthy, and they're eating all that wakame and all that stuff. So they got a lot of healthy stuff going on. But like, when you see all these people, and I think we're coming up on 1 in 2 Americans is obese now. It was 1 in 3, and they said very shortly it's 1 in 2. So I think we're coming up on 1 in 2. And it's not just they're eating too much. That's the thing. When it really hit me, like, it's not just you're eating too much food, and it's not just that you're eating shitty food. You can be eating good food, but if you're eating too much of it and all at the same time, right?
Or unconsciously.
Or unconsciously, which we're going to get into as well in a moment. that then you can have problems with digestion, and you can be really fat and be killing yourself, even though technically you're like, well, I'm eating pretty good stuff. And so that's what makes it so interesting, and that's why it's so genius keeping this information from people, because they really don't know. So yeah, so meats and starches don't go together. That's another one. Um, and yeah, and fruit on its own. And I think that's like the main thing. People got to get that certain foods go with everything. This is the other thing. So vegetables go with everything.
Non-starchy vegetables.
Non-starchy vegetables go with everything. So
an example of a starchy vegetable would be a like white potato, for example, or rice. We've discussed rice. But a non-starchy vegetable could be something like, or like leafy greens. Leafy greens go with pretty much everything: onions, carrots.
So and salads. So if you got those kind of leafy greens and salads, you can eat your steak with those. Or you can go and get a pile of potatoes or sweet potatoes or starchy vegetables and eat them with your salad and certain types of vegetables. But don't be eating your sweet potatoes with a pile of meat or fish. You'll be farting up all over the place.
Sweet potatoes.
That's right. That's right. Sweet potatoes are not. That's right. Sweet potatoes is okay. Normal potatoes and rice, not with meat. But sweet potatoes are okay with meat. That's crazy. That's a game changer.
Sweet potatoes and yams are not considered a starch.
See, that's a miracle. And so it's like the universe loves us so much. They're like, all right, we know you're gonna do some stupid shit. We know starches are delicious with proteins. Go ahead and do this one over here. That makes sense. Because I remember thinking like, man, I've had sweet potatoes in situations where I shouldn't have, and I was okay. You know what I mean? And that's why. Okay, brilliant. Excellent. Anything else you want to add on the pairing? Anything about there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with nutrients as well. You want to just mention anything about that, and then I'll go on to the wisdom from the book.
Well, I don't really know what to say. I'd like to start with saying I'm not an expert. And apparently we must trust the experts.
Listen,
only.
We're not experts, and definitely trust the science. Everything we're saying, double check and make sure Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates are also saying all these things. And if they're not saying it, and if WHO isn't saying it, don't trust it. Trust the science, everybody. We're just a couple of conspiracy theorists, nutritional conspiracy theorists. That's us. This is just for information purposes only, folks.
I mean, Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland, so clearly he does care about our food.
He loves everyone very much.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess for nutrition, what I would just say is a lot of it just has to do with how it breaks down in our body. So alkaline and acidic, like a nice balance of alkaline and acidic foods as well. Dr. Sebi does a good job on explaining a lot of that. But I've also noticed by doing my research for the food app is that it seems like a lot of what they're saying for food combining closely relates to the food being alkaline or acidic pretty closely as well. But what a lot of people don't understand is actually a lot of our hormones are created in our intestine. So food literally does equal mood. If you're eating, processed foods all the time, hot dogs and carcinogenic meats, and you're going to feel like a bag of dicks because you're kind of eating a bag of dicks. I don't know if I can say that on some.
Girl, that's why we're on Rumble. You can say anything. Fuck it.
But it's true. It's it's all about the vibration of it as well. So if you're picking fruit right off of a tree and eating it, that's going to have higher vibration, higher nutritional value. Even we learned the other day that fruits and vegetables actually start to decline in their nutrition within 30 minutes of being picked. So we think of all this food that we're eating from, other countries. We go to Whole Foods. We're like, hey, cool, let's get this, avocado. Yeah, that's a great option for sure. It's better than eating French fries, but how much nutrition does that avocado have? It's been picked probably months ago. How did it get here? Was it, ripened? I learned the other day that you can tell if bananas have been chemically ripened or not. So if they have green stalks at the top, but they're like black dotted, they've been chemically ripened. If they have a black top, like the stem part where they all connect, and they are ripened, they have just been naturally ripened. So all kinds of things to consider with eating food. Dirty Dozen, which is basically a dozen foods, including like apples, grapes. I think maybe peaches is on that. I can't remember specifically, but they actually just absorb a lot of like the chemicals, and it's better to buy them organic. So all of these things, according to nutrition, because not only just what food we're eating, but how was that food grown? You know, what was it sprayed with? How long ago was it picked? And how did it travel here? There's just so much to consider. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like for a long time. Again, we're just not told some really basic things. Like for a long time, I noticed like if I ate gluten, I would feel poopy. Right? I'd eat some gluten and I'd be like, I don't feel so good. It's because I was first of all mixing the starches with meat, which you're not supposed to do, and then I learned about glyphosates, and then I actually went and found some pasta that didn't have glyphosates. I could eat pasta all day. I feel great. You know what makes me happy? Eating large amounts of gluten. That's what makes me happy. Because where we are, they don't put glyphosates on that shit down here. So I can I literally ate pasta for dinner, followed by pasta for dessert the other day. We had 2 pasta meals. And I was like, let's get a double dessert. Let's get more pasta. I felt great. I'm jogging and shit, running around. There's no problem. But it's the glyphosate. So they're poison. Like again, a generation back, nobody had gluten intolerance. There's no such thing as gluten intolerance. Very rare. It was almost impossible, right? And same thing with autism. Don't talk about that though. Listen, you're not gonna get me down that conspiracy theorist. Even though
Autism is
don't
also
say it,
closely
don't say it, don't say it, girl.
there is close relations to foods as well, not just pharmaceuticals. But yeah, certain colors, especially that are in some of our processed food, like the color orange, for example, which is in macaroni, cheeses, all the fun stuff, orange pop. Yeah, that has also actually been linked to autism, especially in children. So
I just want to say, just because we're dating doesn't mean I agree with everything she's saying. And I am one of the world's foremost anti-vaxxers and conspiracy theorists. So you really have to, the fact that she's with me, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Everything she says, folks. I can't trust her because she loves me. All right. So now that we've established that, now that's been established. We're hungry. Let's get some foods. All this talk about food making me hungry. So I just want to say, yeah, the chemicals on the foods. There was no. I could go on a real side rant here. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna drop some hints that will make people think, and they can do their own research. But let's just say 100 years ago, the odds of finding someone who had cancer was small. Like you would live your whole lifetime 100 years ago, and this is true. 100 years ago, in your entire life, you would probably not run into anyone who had cancer. That's a fact. You can talk. You can interview people, and they've done interviews with people who are like centenarians, and they're like, "How many people you met with cancer?" They're like, "I don't know. I never met anyone like that." It was that rare. Same thing with autism. Barely really existed, but now it's everywhere. I wonder what it could be. Could it be something we're putting into our bodies? Just gonna leave it there. It's on Rumble though. It's on Rumble. The funny thing is, I decided to stream to YouTube. I decided to stream to YouTube just to see how quickly we'll be shut down. So we're technically streaming to YouTube now, just for shits and giggles. Okay, so we're not going to go down too many rabbit holes. We're trying to stick to the food rabbit hole. So when I started food combining correctly, I noticed a bunch of things happen right away. I needed less sleep, and especially another very basic concept, but like you're not supposed to sleep with a belly full of food. Like you're supposed to finish your last meal whenever 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, even 8 o'clock. But I know it's like 11 and you're like, I could eat a little snack. Don't be snacking at 11:30. It's not good. If you're gonna snack, have a fruit because it digest real quick. Don't be eating something heavy, like eating like some chicken at like midnight is like not a good idea. But like yeah, like wrap up your food. Don't. But when I stopped doing the food combining incorrectly, yeah, I would sleep less. Wasn't farting, more energy. Never needed naps after food. I could eat even if I ate too much. It didn't matter. I could just continue working. It was fine. So it's really a game changer. And so just do the research. I would recommend everybody like if you can get this book, get the book. Honestly, it's only like 50 pages. It is available. I can post it up. Somebody went and put this PDF on the internet, and it's on the internet, so I can post it. It's out there. The guy's dead. I don't think he minds if we share the book. He probably wants us to share the book. Let's be honest. So we'll post a link up to for where people can grab this book, read it. It's not an easy read. I will lie to you if I said it's not. You will read it and be like, what? Because it's a lot of information. But even if you want to do the lazy version and you just go on evil Google or whatever search engine, preferably not Google, but you just type food combining chart and you just take 10 minutes of your life and you stare at the chart, you will understand vegetables, certain ones, and salads are neutral. And you can eat that with your starches and you can eat that with your meats, but proteins, but don't be mixing all that shit together and eat fruit on an empty stomach. If you just get the very, very, very core basics of it, lentils are evil. Let me just explain it to you. You think, oh, the Indian people eat lentil. No, no, stop it. Okay, I'm joking. It's just me. I get super farty. It's just me. I'm being I also think coriander is evil, but that's only 1 in 10 of us think that. But do get the core of it just so you get it, because it will change your life. And I will warn people, once you start doing it, if you go back to doing things incorrectly, your body gets more sensitive, because once you clean out and you get healthier, once you start breaking other rules, you're more sensitive to it. So you'll do things you used to do and be like, whatever. It's because you used to feel like shit and it was normal. So when you start feeling better, if you go and break one of the rules, you'll be like, oh God, why did I do that? I can't have pizza anymore. Like, it's not a thing I could ever have. But they do have cauliflower pizza that you can get, and you can have, with cheese-free pizza, and we can't. But a full-on cheese gluten-y pizza, I would just end up in hospital. I couldn't do it. So I just do warn people, once you start, getting better at this stuff, you can't really go back to being a dickhead. And I just want to put that out there. He's not very spiritual. He used the word dickhead. Well, God is in all things, including the word dickhead.
And also Melanie, the viewer, she wanted to add in as well. She's a nutritionist, that chewing is very important. And yes, I would agree, because from my understanding, a lot of the like pre-digestion or pre breaking down of the enzymes in our mouth actually help that. So I don't know as well if maybe she would want to come on if she has anything to add. But we were going to also talk about, you were going to talk about the other book. So, but please feel free to continue adding some comments in. We will definitely mention them if there's anything major that we're missing as well that you would like to add, Melanie. Thank you.
We love all you humans, especially ones leaving comments on Evil Rumble, on non-Evil Rumble. So one other thing I'll mention briefly, I've talked about it before. Food windows are really important. So like fasting in general is great, but intermittent fasting is wonderful. So like eating between certain hours, whether the worst, again, everything they say in mainstream is almost exclusively the opposite of the truth. And then once out of every 100 occasions, they'll say something true just to keep you confused. So one of the things they always say, well, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Yes, if you want to shorten your lifespan and be unhealthy and go to the hospital a lot, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's the worst thing you can do is if there's one thing you could do that's really bad, it would be eating late at night. But the other thing would be eating first thing in the morning. Why? Because your body is detoxing all night long. You're finally empty. Your body's like, oh my God, this stupid schmuck finally stopped eating. So you go to bed, let's say 11 p.m., and you're getting up at, let's pretend, 7, whatever. So for 8 hours, you're sleeping. Your body's finally able to clean and detox itself. And what do? You get up at 8 o'clock, and what do? You go to the fridge and you open it and you start shoving shit in your mouth right away. Worst thing you can do. Best thing you can, bacon and eggs, toast, orange juice, all of it. Just delicious. And I'm getting hungry again. We got to stop. The ducks over there are happy.
Over there. I don't know if we can. They're shy. They stop talking.
We get the mic in their face. They don't want to talk anymore. Anyway, the best thing you can do in the morning is not eat, is let your body keep fasting and cleaning itself out. So don't take water, don't take food, nothing. Just leave it alone. Okay. And then you start eating, let's say at noon, eat at noon, and then stop eating at like whatever, 6 would be great. So you have a 6-hour window, and that's really healthy. Even an 8-hour window, fine. But just stop eating at 8 p.m. then. And it makes a huge difference, because then your body has 16 hours to clean itself out, which means it's in a fasted state most of the time, which means your body is actually cleaning itself most of the time, rather than digesting all the time and using your life force energy to try and process all this fucking food you're putting in all the time, especially when you're doing wrong food combining. So really basic stuff, but like, how many people do you know limit themselves, and they you know what I'm saying? Like, most people aren't doing this stuff. It makes a huge difference in quality of life. I can tell you right now.
I'd add a little bit to that. If you are going to have something first thing in the morning as well, something like lemon water or like hot water and apple cider vinegar to help continue that detox is also a good thing. And you had mentioned before as well, fruit on an empty stomach. So if you are going to have food first thing in the morning, obviously fruit would be the logical decision. Also, something I've also recently learned that I like to share as well is blending things. So smoothies actually, again, very similar to pre-chewing your food, starts to actually break down the food as well. So yeah, having some smoothies in the morning and combining a few things would also be okay. And in regards to fasting, yes, fasting is great, especially intermittent fasting, and I know you've discussed dry fasting a lot on here, but as a woman, I would also like to just mention that, fasting and your moon cycle actually should be closely aligned because there is times of the month that you should not be fasting and other times where it is healthy and okay to just because of the hormones that are being produced in our body at different times, of the month. So yeah, just don't make yourself sick.
Baby, wait a minute. Are you saying there's differences between men and women? I don't think that's the science says there's no
I
difference.
can't say that in 2023.
No, baby, look, I've been watching these videos recently and they're saying that men can have babies too, just like women can, and men can be chest feeding their babies too. And I think the science, we need to stick to the science on this. She gets just listen. She gets a little confused sometimes, and sometimes she strays off what we're supposed to say, and what the science has approved. So just again, remember, always double check with the WHO, and if there's anything we say that's not in line with their guidelines, folks, just ignore it and do whatever the WHO says because they love you and they want you to be healthy and happy. Just remember that. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Actually, they've asked in the comments here, why is health important?
What do you mean? Why is health important? What the hell is the matter with you?
Why can't we just be unhealthy and just sit around and eat processed foods and watch Netflix all the time and just why?
Well, it depends. It's like saying, why is happiness important? I mean, happy because you feel shitty when you're not happy. And if you eat crappy foods and you have low energy and you're farting and your stomach's going around in circles and you're like, you got to take antacid pills. Like, why is it bad to take antidepressants so you don't kill yourself? Because being depressed isn't fun. That's why.
Being unhealthy isn't fun.
Being unhealthy is not fun. We want to do things that are fun, not fun. But yeah, health is really the most important thing. I think that's why it's such a crazy time right now because we're seeing, especially where we're from, British Columbia in Canada, the whole healthcare system is imploding, and a lot of people who would rely on the public healthcare system, they don't feel safe living there anymore because if something goes wrong and you can't see a doctor, then you're fucked. I don't trust doctors or the system, nor do I see them. So I don't really care if the health system collapses because I would only go to alternative people or what I call real health practitioners. I don't trust MDs. MDs only if I was shot. They shot me in the leg and I needed surgery or I needed my leg wrapped up or I had a broken arm. Then fine. Anything else, I would stay away from them. That's just me though. But again, I'm a conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxer. So, and just check with the WHO for all the things I'm saying and make sure it's approved. Okay, so now that we've gotten
Coming back on track.
back on track now. Listen, it's hard having a show where it's all about love and oneness and consciousness when you're a comedian and you just want to go off track and be silly sometimes. I'm going to read a little bit from this great book, okay, folks? Now, there's a couple of parts I was going to read for you guys because my compassion is great for all you people who are eating all these terrible foods all together and you're destroying yourselves. I'm going to try and save your soul right now. Here we go. So I'm gonna do. It's only 3.5 pages this chapter. Let's do it. Are you guys ready? Tell me in the chat that you are ready because I'm doing it anyway. Here we go. The revolution you can do if you don't like what's happening on a channel, you can just turn it off. That's your revolution. But I don't think you could do it. If you're this deep in, you can't turn it off. You love us. You love what we're doing. You love the vibes we're spreading, and you want to learn about correct food combining. So there's nothing you can do. You're stuck with us. Stuck with us. Also, we're all one, so there's no escape. I am you, so there's nothing you can do to get away from me. I'm going to read this book, The Yoga of Nutrition by Omram Mikhail Ivanov. He is a Bulgarian master who attained self realization. And we're talking about the foods. Here we go. Nowadays, most of the food we eat is contaminated by all kinds of poisonous chemical substances. It is virtually impossible to buy anything that is really fresh and pure. And he's writing this shit in this. He's talking about this in like the 1970s too. This isn't from like 2020. You can imagine what he'd be saying today. He'd be like shaking his head no. Fruit and vegetables are grown on soil tainted by harmful fertilizers. Fish is taken from the waters of polluted seas and rivers. It will soon be impossible to live on this earth. As long as their business prospers and they make a lot of money, most simply don't care that others die because of their poisons. And yet it largely depends on each one of us whether or not the food we eat is accepted and assimilated by our organism. And the prayers and blessings we say before meals are designed to influence our food favorably and prepare it so that it can be properly assimilated. These formulas and prayers have no power to add the tiniest scrap of life to our food, for God has already infused life into it through the action of, turning the page, the action of his servants, the sun and wind, the stars, earth and water. If it were possible for a human blessing to introduce divine life into an object, why shouldn't we bless pieces of wood, stone, or metal and eat them? It is true that when we bless a stone or a piece of wood or metal, we are introducing a certain form of life into it, but it is not a form of life which is capable of nourishing human beings. They may not be able to use it for some other purpose. They may be able to use it for some other purpose, but not as food. In that case, you will say, it's pointless to bless our food. It doesn't do any good. No, it is not pointless, for, as I've already said, the words and gestures of the blessing wrap the food in emanations and fluids which prepare it to vibrate in harmony with you who are going to eat it. And an adaptation takes place in your subtle bodies which enables you to receive and benefit from all the properties contained in the food. This question of blessing one's food is not properly understood. Pay attention, all you hippies in Sedona, blessing your food all the time. Pay attention. Even priests don't really know why they have to bless the wine and the hosts. Those who established these rites in the past were aware of their magical significance, but now all that has been lost. The real purpose of the blessing is to tame the food and make a friend of it, for you must realize that food has its own form of life and that its vibrations are not always in tune with ours. So we have to magnetize it, communicate some of our own particles to it so as to change the rhythm of its particles and ensure its friendship. Only then will it open up and pour out its riches for us. When two people meet for their first time, their vibrations are so different that they continue to have difficulty in tuning into each other sufficiently to enable them to understand each other. But as time passes, a relationship of exchange, a kind of osmosis, takes place, and they begin to vibrate in unison. Are we vibrating in unison, sweetie pie? I think we're pretty good. And this is what happens with our food also. If you start eating without having prepared yourself inwardly, your food will remain foreign to you and will not do you as much good as if you had tried to make friends with it in advance.
I like to make friends with my food.
I don't know if the WHO is going to agree with any of this that we're saying. I think this is all going to be spiritual conspiracy. You have often seen me holding a fruit in my hand for a moment before eating it. I am transforming its etheric body and asking it to open up to me. One can smile at food just as one smiles at an animal one is trying to tame. Animals, plants, all creatures need to feel love before they are willing to make friends. And this is true of food and even medicine. If you want some medicine to be properly assimilated by your organism and really do it good, you have to exert an influence on its etheric matter. Even a stone vibrates as you hold it, and its vibrations will be either friendly or hostile to you. If you know how to make a friend of a stone, it will protect and even heal you. This law can be seen in every area of existence. Look at how it operates between boys and girls. To begin with, they are strangers and ill at ease. The girl, sitting bolt upright in her chair, as innocent and honest as can be, is a sight to behold. But the boy only has to give her a drink and put on a sentimental record, and all her reserve falls away. She becomes his friend. When you put on a new pair of shoes for the first time, you don't feel at home in them. They are stiff and a bit tight. But after a while, they get used to your feet, as it were, and loosen up. And when you move into a new room or a new house, To begin with, you feel a bit lost. The place is foreign to you. But there again, you soon begin to feel at home, and you're even glad to get back to your room because it's full of the vibrations you have put into it. The strange thing is that where their food is concerned, nobody seems to think that anything needs to be done. And yet, before it reaches your plate, your food has stood about in all kinds of places and been handled and packaged and packed and shipped to the market. It is a total stranger. But if you take a fruit, hold it with respect, and look at it lovingly, it will become your friend and vibrate quite differently. It is like a flower which opens its petals to and offers you the gift of its perfume. The secret to opening the treasure house of food is warmth, the warmth of love. And this is why, if you don't like any particular kind of food, you shouldn't eat it, for it will be an enemy in your organism. Never eat anything you don't like. Man, your parents were forcing all that meat on you when you were a kid. They were doing you damage. It's no cool, not cool. And now try this exercise. Before you eat a piece of fruit, hold it in your hand, talk to it softly, if not out loud, at least in your thoughts, and something in that fruit will be transformed. It will be much more friendly towards you, and when you eat it, it will begin to work for you. Learn to awaken all those powers within you, which have been put to sleep, chloroformed by centuries of inertia and stagnation. Concentrate, meditate, pray, and exercise your faculties. Always keep alive and desire to add something more to your life, something purer and subtler. Bam!
I love food.
We're big foodies over here. So there it is. So it's really about the connection and the love and the vibration between us and our foods.
Well, you've even noticed as well because I didn't really know too much about food combining before we met. And then we had some traumas instilled over food combining and fasting.
I used to be a food combining Nazi. Now I'm now a recovering food combining Nazi. I sometimes still fall back, and sometimes I'll judge people in my mind. Like she'll be eating certain things that shouldn't go together, and I'll just be like, minding my business. That's totally fine. You want to go ahead and eat that? It's delicious.
With that smug face on
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. And I'll just be there like, but but I accept. It's really ironic actually, because like on a deep spiritual level, I'm fully aware that like all souls are on their own unique journey, and there's different awakenings and experiences and lessons everyone has to go through in order to get to their self-realization and remember who they are and what they're doing on the planet. And it's great. And I'm willing to let people go on that journey. But when I see people eating the wrong foods, I'm like, what the hell is the matter with you? Stop eating that shit. You're gonna kill you. And I don't, but that's also part of the journey. So it's really funny combining Nazi. But when someone is like doing something terrible with it, no, they just need to learn lessons and suffer, and they'll eventually get back to source and love, and it'll be fine. But as soon as you eat like a fruit and then you go for some French fries, I'm like, bro, what are you doing here? What are you retarded? Yeah, and I'm also judgmental of people using Wi-Fi. But the thing is, the ignorance is a real thing. Like if someone genuinely doesn't have the knowledge, it's one thing to like let them know. But once someone has the knowledge and they continue to do something that's bad for them, that's their karma. Like that, then you're being a dick if you keep reminding them. But just the first time, I try. Yeah. But I feel like the problem is a lot of people genuinely don't know. Like a lot of people out there who are taking the putting certain things into their bodies that we won't definitely can't mention because we're streaming to YouTube. Rumble's okay though, but like they genuinely don't know, right? They really don't know. So if you're telling someone, like, hey, that may not be good for your health, that's the first time they've heard that, which is shocking to me, but that kind of seems to be the case.
But you've seen a change. There's been a few times because you're helping out your friend, so sometimes you end up getting meals where it's very food combining that you in a way have to eat because otherwise you just won't eat. So praying, you've noticed, actually does make a difference. So it is all about the vibration that you actually put into your food before you consume it, the vibration you put into anything before you consume it you know
Funny you should mention that because there's one more thing I want to read from this amazing book before we wrap up the show. All right. But yeah, I have noticed that the praying thing is like when I really connect. And the thing is, I hate that I still do this, but like sometimes I'm really hungry and I just completely forget, and I'll sit down, I'll just start shoving food in my face, and then when I'm less hungry, halfway through, I stop. I'm like, damn it, I forgot to connect with the food. Then I'll stop and I'll do it and I'll continue. But I've noticed I've sat down to eat things that I know don't really go together, but I've been super present and like really connected and be like, I love you so much. You're the best. Thank you to the universe for bringing these delicious foods to me. And I hope you get all the original nutrition back that you're supposed to have, even though the soils are poopy. And I'll really, really, really connect with it. Then I'll eat the food. And an hour later, I'm like, I feel great, even though I just mixed some shit that I really shouldn't have done. And it's great. So the connection is so important. It really is. It's a
And
yeah.
Moto said that in messages in water as well, which I'm sure, I don't know if we've spoken about it before on here or not, but basically saying like I love you and stuff to one thing of water and I hate you to another, you know, just a quick explanation of it. The molecules were different. They would just be more beautiful when they were loved on. And you see it in plants as well. I like to sing to plants. I've brought plants back to life. It's all about vibration. So, yeah, plants are food.
I just want to say I have a feeling the WHO will not agree that you can sing to plants to bring them back to life. So I will just I would double check with the World Health Organization about that statement before you start singing to your plants, because I don't want you doing it and people think you look stupid and you'll be like, I saw it on the show, and then people will see the show and they'll be like, these people clearly they weren't following the science. So I would just say check with your doctor and check with the WHO and just make sure everything we're saying lines up completely with what they're saying. Um, and I think that's the most important thing today. Even with this enlightened master, if he's saying some things and the WHO doesn't say they're true, go with the WHO. Forget this guy. So what? He attains self-realization. What does God know anyway that the WHO, you know what I'm saying, doesn't know? Nothing. That's what I'm saying. Nothing. All right. Now that we've established the authority correctly, I'm just going to read one more section of the book. It's only about 3.5 pages, but they're deep pages. I could be lying. It might be 4.5 pages, but it's very profound and it needs to be shared. So I'm going to read this and then we'll wrap it up. Everybody can go home.
Quick little meditation.
Might do a quick little meditation at the end. Yeah. Okay. Unless you want to read, Sweetie Pie. You want to read? You're shy about reading. I'll read. I got a pretty good reading voice. I've gotten compliments on my voice before. And I'm like, I sound Canadian. But apparently Canadian's a good one. It's a good accent. It's better than being from Alabama. All right, we're going to get spiritual now, you some bitch. You spiritual some bitches. That will be weird.
Read it in an Alabama.
Should I do it, Alabama? It's amazing to see how human beings are conceited enough to think. No, I'm not going to do it. That would be wrong. I'm not going to do it. Then people from Alabama will just be like yelling at us. They'll be angry. They'll be like, you're terrible. I don't want to upset. I love people from the South. They're great. They're great. They're some of my favorite humans are from, you know why? Because they got Cracker Barrel down there. That's why. Love that Cracker Barrel. All right, let's do this. So this chapter is called The Laws of Symbiosis. I see a couple of people just join our live stream. We're reading from this beautiful book, The Yoga of Nutrition. It's beautiful, and I'm going to drop some spiritual bombs straight from Omram Mikhail Ivanov. Here we go. It is amazing to see how human beings who are conceited enough to think that they can plumb the depths of the mysteries of creation totally neglect something as important as nutrition, into which God has poured all his love and wisdom. If one studies the laws that govern the process of nutrition, one realizes that they are the self-same laws that are in effect throughout creation. They govern the relationship of exchange between the sun and the planets. They apply in all areas of life, and in particular, they apply in the area of love. Yes, the laws which govern conception and gestation are identical to those which govern nutrition. Oh, it's going to get juicy. Can you feel it? It's going to get so deep. Y'all don't even know what's coming right now. You think you do. You're like, we know what's coming. You don't. You really don't. I didn't see it coming. In everything we eat, whether it be fish, fruit, vegetables, or even cheese, that's my judgmental face on the cheese, there is always something which has to be discarded: bones, peel, a crust, a core, etc. And even if there is really nothing that has to be thrown away, we at least have to wash or wipe it clean. In other words, before eating, we have to take certain precautions so as not to wound our palate, break a tooth, or damage our stomach. Or as in South America, they would say, stomach. And this being so, why don't we do the same in life itself before creating a bond with someone? Before taking someone into our heart and soul, why don't we examine the question of whether he is fit to be swallowed and digested? You will probably say, but I love him. Yes, I quite understand. You love him. But that kind of love is blind. It is not real love. Real love is enlightened. It is never contrary to wisdom. Ooh, that's a truth bomb right there. People create bonds with others, kiss, embrace, and exchange without preparation of any kind, without washing or cleansing themselves, without clearing out all the filth that has accumulated in their hearts and souls as they scrambled through the chimneys of life. An initiate behaves quite differently. When he first meets someone, he envisages him as a juicy fruit, to be sure, but as a fruit that needs to be washed and peeled before he can eat it. The great difference between initiates and ordinary men who have neither light nor wisdom nor knowledge. He's kind of dissing all the people who are not on the spiritual path there. I like how he's enlightened but still is able to diss people who are less spiritually advanced. For me, that's why I love this guy the most. He does it in such a loving, subtle way. Lies in the way in which they associate or establish an exchange with others. Ordinary people behave like cats. They swallow mice whole, whiskers and intestines and all, and they weep and lament and declare that they are unhappy, unbearably unhappy with their life, or that their husband is a monster. But then why did they behave like that cat in the first place? Why were they in such a hurry to eat that man or woman? In other words, why did they associate with them and accept their thoughts and feelings, their breath and their aura without reflection? Now, analyze yourself and review your whole life, and you will see that you have never looked any further than the outward appearance, the little external details of those to whom you felt drawn. You have never stopped to find out what their inner motivations were, how they felt about things, what kind of thoughts and ideals they cherished. Initiates, on the other hand, are very difficult to please, and rightly so. They have understood the lesson that nature gives us every day by means of our food. They know that we have to behave in accordance with the same laws in the psychic life. Every day we peel, wash, clean, and discard on the physical level, and we still have not understood that what nature is teaching us, thereby that we have to do the same on the psychic level. Have you never seen how an adoring mother who would do anything in the world for her little boy will send him to wash and clean up after playing in the mud before she will kiss and cuddle him? Why doesn't she kiss him straight away, mud and all, since she loves him? The great book of living nature is there before your eyes. For the wise, its pages are open. For others, it remains closed. 3 times a day you have a meal. 3 times a day you pick out what is edible and discard the rest. And yet you tie yourself for life to the first person to come along without getting to know him and run the risk of poisoning your whole life. Oof. The Lord is the only one that is safe to love before getting to know him. With human beings, you must always get to know them before loving them, or, in other words, before, quote, eating them, before admitting them into your inner sanctuary. But if you don't love God from the very beginning, you will never get to know him. And the same applies in the case of a great master. You will never get to know him. He will remain a closed book to you if you don't begin by loving him. Obviously, the question now arises of how to love. Most people love a master as they would love a lake in which they wash away all their grime. It never occurs to them that others may want to come and drink from the lake. And what will they be obliged to drink with their water? Most people who go to see a master unload all the filth they have accumulated during their lives onto him. And then he has to discard or transform these impurities, all of which gives him more work. If even a master is obliged to cleanse himself, how much more so must others do the same? Oh, but in their opinion, they don't need cleansing. They have hobnobbed with every kind of evil spirit, and they don't even notice that they are spattered and befouled with mud. But now, let's leave this question alone and go back to the lesson to be drawn every day from nutrition. Every creature is like a fruit or some other kind of food, and we must retain only what is tasty and digestible in it. God has placed a spark in each being that we must try to establish a relationship with that spark and not with all the rest. If you cease to look only at the outer aspects, you may even discover a spark in animals, plants, and rocks. Every single creature has that spark in him. Sometimes it is buried very deep, but it is there, even in an animal. And if you know how to arouse it and stir it to life, you can communicate and establish a relationship with it. An initiate has no wish to relate to the lower nature of human beings, their personality. He knows that if he goes down to their basements, he will find only rats and mildew, and that he will be better off on the upper floors. In sharp contrast to ordinary people who are only interested in other people's defects and who even get together to discuss them. An initiate hunts for the divine spark buried in each person and works to reunite it with the Heavenly Father and the Divine Mother. This is how a master works on people. And one day, light dawns in them. And this is how he works on his disciples, nurturing the divine spark within them until it awakens. And this is why disciples love their master, because he speaks only to the best in them. And you can do the same. When you meet another human being, try to seek out that hidden spark, his higher self, and help him to renew and strengthen his bond with the Lord. This is the most evolved, the highest form of love, to relate only to the divine spark in each human being so as to nurture and reinforce it. If you do this, you need never be on your guard against someone, nor waste time studying him before you love him, for that spark is all pure. Where the personality is concerned, it is better to know someone before you accept him, but you can accept the divine spark that shines in each one of us immediately. Bam! Pretty good, huh? Yeah. So that's the amazing thing. If anyone has ever met like a really high vibe being, like an enlightened master, for example, I've had some teachers. They emanate that love all the time, and that love, which is their nature, is reaching and touching that love within you. And that's why you'll see students like obsessed and chasing their masters around and whatever, and they want to be around them all the time, because that part of them, the real self, the soul, is being fueled by that eternal love that's coming from the master. And we don't really get that love from other humans or our teachers, or even our, maybe I guess from our parents. It's possible, but generally speaking in life, we're dealing with personalities, we're dealing with the ego, and the ego, it wants to exchange, it wants to trade. Everything is like a deal. You love me this way, I'll pay for this, or I'll love you in that way. And it's more a business exchange than actual unconditional contractual love. Yeah, contractual love. You scratch my back, I'll feed you this cake, which works. Yeah. I mainly, she feeds me, I give her massages. It works great. So it's really deep spiritual knowledge there, and that's the thing that we really all search for, and are seeking, actually, and that is the fundamental truth, and one of the deepest truths that we have in our human experience. We are all seeking that unconditional love, period, and we're seeking it in all the wrong places. Sex, food, not the worst. Relationships, drugs, money, being famous, all these things. We're looking for that unconditional love in all these places, and it's insane. It's an insane shit show, because we are that. It's literally within us. It is our nature. And the only time we really discover that, if people have profound spiritual awakenings of some kind, or they get to be around a very highly evolved being like a master, then they'll actually feel it, and then they'll be touched by it, and they'll be like, holy shit. And even being touched by that type of love, even for a moment, like literally you run into someone on the street and they like drop a banana, and you help them pick it up, and they're an enlightened master, and they look and they think, thank you so much. And that one moment of eye contact, to feel that love hitting you, it can change your life. And I'm not even kidding. I have stories. So that's what we're all seeking. And that's our journey. That's our journey, is to discovering that is our true self. And it continues. And even after you discover it, living that as a human being in this planet, as messed up as it is, that's a practice. That is an ongoing spiritual practice. Yeah. So he dropped some crazy bombs there. That was amazing. So we have a comment from Melanie. She says, we can simply say, thank you for your nourishment. That's my favorite thing. Yeah, that's a nice thing to say to everybody. Thank you for your nourishment. Mm-hmm. So anything to add about the wisdom bombs from the book? Where's that?
It's just always about intention and being present with everything you do, including food and eating. Mm-hmm. That's all I'd add.
That's really it. That's really it. Somebody asked me a couple of times. Someone was like, "Do you meditate?" And I'm like, "Not like sitting there for like 2 hours." No, that's never really worked for me. Though I've had experiences doing that. For me, the meditation always comes back down to like, am I being present right now in every conversation I'm having with people? Can I just walk down the street and look at the plants and the flowers and all the things and really appreciate that I'm in this temporary incarnation in this crazy world and there's all these amazing things happening? Can I really just be present with, hey, my lungs are breathing the air is clean, it feels good, and this beautiful process is happening automatically that I'm breathing and it's keeping me on the planet. And it's not like you're just tuning into that simple stuff. It's like amazing. And so yeah, so for me, that's really the practice. It's just trying to be here in every moment, and it's not easy.
With cooking too. So yeah, I'd add that with meditation and intention. So not only when you're eating your food, but if you are the person who's cooking your food or cooking food for others, putting that love and intention into that food actually makes it taste better. It does. You know, it yeah.
One time she served me a boiled up old shoe, but she spent 2 hours just loving on it, and I ate the shoe and it was delicious. True story. True story. Yeah. No, it's everything. I like how we're at the end and more people are coming in now. It's like, guys, you're late. What are you doing? You're gonna have to watch the replay. We dropped some crazy bombs about foods and prayer and spirituality, and it was beautiful.
If it's a is it a time frame thing? Please do mention in the comments if more people would like the show to be later. How is Sunday working out for everyone as well? You know? Yeah. Do you have friends that want to watch but can't for some reason tell us these things? Because how else will we know
We won't
if you
know.
don't
You
tell
gotta
us?
talk. You gotta talk to us. We want to spread the loves, but you gotta talk to us. Next week, we have a seminar we're attending on Sunday. So if we do a show, it would be on Saturday. But we'll email everyone. Be in our Telegram group if you're not. You can find all the links from the iproject.love website. And I feel like we should do a little. We should do a wee meditation. Let's do a little meditation. Let's do a little meditation and clearing, and then we'll send all the beautiful souls on their way. Okay. Oh, my butt. Oh, my Lord. When you move, all of a sudden, all that blood goes to your butt. Oh, man. Oh, God. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's do a little quick presence meditation. So set your butts down and take a couple of nice deep breaths. And just allowing your attention to come and focus on your breath. And just focusing on inhaling through the nose, just relaxing as you exhale. Just allowing your stomach to expand a little bit more with every breath. Breathing deep. And just allowing the mind to quiet. And if thoughts come, just allow them to pass. Just know you're allowed to explore those thoughts after the meditation. Can you just be here for a couple of minutes? Can you start to bring in a sense of gratitude for the breath itself? Can you feel appreciation and love for every breath? Can you extend that appreciation to other aspects of your body? How about the lungs, the heart beating, blood going through your veins? What about your feet? What about your hands? Your eyes and your nose? Can you send your love and appreciation to all of your body? And can you extend that appreciation to your environment, the air around you, the trees, animals, even the chair that you're on? Can you appreciate all of it for being perfect just as it is? The barking animals, the cars going by, the neighbors yelling at each other. Can all of it be perfect just as it is? And while in this appreciation, let's do a quick clearing. Spirit masters, spirit world, spirit guides, Christ consciousness, higher self. In this moment, we would ask you to remove any and all non beneficial energies of all types, including non beneficial spirits, entities, or demonic attachments affecting any of our brothers and sisters listening to these words. We ask that these energies be lovingly sent to wherever they belong in creation. We ask this be done in the name of the Infinite One Self. Thank you for your assistance. We are grateful. May all beings be blessed. May all beings be happy. May all beings remember the truth of their eternal nature. Amen. And just staying with a nice, deep breath. Taking one or two more juicy ones. And when you're ready, slowly opening up the eyes, coming back to this reality. And deciding to stay in this peaceful presence for the rest of your day. Can you keep breathing and be present for everything for the whole day ahead? I hope so. I'm particularly excited because our day is going to be filled with taking delicious foods and shoving them consciously and loving them into our face, but not before talking to them and having a little prayer and a little dialogue. Ain't that right? Yeah, that's right.
There's food being cooked here, so all we can smell is just food.
I guarantee the whole show she's just been thinking about, it's time, when do we wrap it up, son? It's time to eat. Loves that food. All right. So we'll only say this. Be on the mailing list or the Telegram group. If you like what we're doing, grab one of the clips. We always put some clips out of the shows. So whether you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, evil YouTube, Rumble's got a clips channel. Take a clip, send it with a friend. Nobody wants to be sent an hour and a half show. It's crazy. Nobody's going to listen to that shit. But a 90-second clip of us dropping some spiritual bombs or joking around, that's okay. That's digestible. And one by one, we'll hook these unconscious people who just want to make money and bank chicks. We're going to hook them in with a little bit of spiritual wisdom, and then they'll get on the path. And next thing you know, they're doing Om Shanti Shanti and doing yoga and praying to their vegetables, and they're having a great time. And next thing you know, they realize that they're one with all beings, and we're just going to create heaven on earth. But we got to rope them in with those 60 to 90-second short spiritual clips. That's our strategy, guys. So we're asking you to grab the clips that you like from one of our clips channels and start sending them to your friends. If each person that tunes in each week picks one victim, I mean one friend, and sends them one spiritual clip, like, hey, check this clip, you might like this one, that may entice them to come check out the show. I like how at the end now we have 20 people. So it's just growing. It's hilarious. It's over, folks. It's over. We're wrapping it up, and you're coming in. You're gonna have to go watch the replay. But it was good. I feel we had a good mix of comedy, of me dicking around and being silly, and being the comedian, but also knowledge. I think it was a good. It's hard to have that mix, folks, because I'm trying to be in my heart, but the ego comes in as like, yeah, but you're funny. You got to rip this shit and make some jokes about this, and it's difficult being spiritual and comedian sometimes. It's hard, but I try and find a balance. All right, so that's it. We kept it under 90 minutes. That's a victory. Even spiritual people, they can't take it if you go too long. So we love you all. Thanks for being here. And please leave us. We know you're in the room right now. Even though we're still streaming, you could go underneath the video on Rumble, not the chat box, and you could leave us a little comment. Nothing depresses us more than we have a great show. We drop some juicy bombs, and then there's one comment, and one person like, "Thanks, guys," and we're like, "Come on, guys! It takes 30 seconds to write us a comment." And if there are beings on this planet that are going straight to hell, it's people who join us for up to 90 minutes, have a great time. They laugh, they cry, they learn spiritual things. It enhances their life. And you know what they do? They just go on with their day. They don't even leave us a comment. Those people are, I don't really believe in hell, but if there was a hell, those people are going there.
So many people joined in the end. And if you missed it before, if you joined in the end, is this time frame working out for you? Would you like the show to be later? Is the Sunday good?
I think they came in at the beginning, and then they heard that we were talking about food. They decided they were hungry. They ate the food, and then they're coming back now. That's what's happening. But it's fine. The Telegram channel, leave us. We always love good recipes. We Project Love is the name of the Telegram channel, because some cockroach out there bought I Project Love, even though we already registered it, but because we weren't using it, we lost it and someone else stole it from us. Those bastards. But anyway, that's on there. So be on there. We always let people know before we do a show, and we love you all. See you hopefully in the next show. Bye bye.